Welcome to LoadRunnerJMeter.com. In this module, we're going to discuss about introduction. As this is the first module of this course, so we would be discussing about these things. So the first thing is, what are the frequently asked questions? So let us just cover them first, and then we would be continuing with the course. So the first question that would come into mind is, I need to clear interview or work on a project, right? So everyone wants to do that. Now some guys would be learning this for the clearing interview purpose and working on this. Some are already aware of what JMeter is, but they want to work on a project, right? So see, it just takes 1 week to learn, but again, the thing is, to clear an interview or work on a project, you need to devote at least 10 to 12 weeks of practice. Okay. And now the next question is Java required? Yes, Java is required. You need the basics of core Java, very little, and just for bean shell scripting. But yes, we would be covering that as well. Okay. Now the next question is, which version will you be using? Right now, the JMeter 5.0 is the latest version, so we would be using the JMeter 5.0. Now the next thing, that is, will we cover any framework? See, there are no frameworks in JMeter, but yes, we would be having multiple scenarios. Different scenarios would be covered, and the lectures won't be theoretical lectures actually. Okay, and we would be having some end-to-end scenarios which would be covered. Now the main question that would come into mind, that is advantages of learning JMeter as compared to load testing tools. So on short, I can say that it is free to use. It is open source. You can make any changes to its source code and you can use it. And it is easy to understand. The graphical user interface is very easy to understand. Okay. Now the next thing, that is performance testing. Now the first question that would come into mind is, what is performance testing and why do we use it, right? So as you can see, that testing is a process of evaluation of the quality and capability of the product. Right. Now, in terms of performance testing, it is a type of software testing that intends to determine how a system performs. Now, how we can determine, for example, suppose this is a system, right? And what we want to do is, we need to check how it is performing under various conditions. So we would be putting on some load, we would be checking its performance, okay? And we would be checking how much load it bears. Okay, so in layman terms, you can say that suppose a bridge is built, right? Now we just want to check what is its performance, what is its capacity, right? How much load it can bear. So what we would be doing is, we would be allowing the vehicles to go through it, and we would be allowing say increasing the number of vehicles, so that we could get to know that what is the load bearing capacity of this bridge, right? So this is how we do that. Now see, in performance testing, usually people think that if we're testing a system, we would be putting on the loads this much that the system won't be able to bear it, right? This is the main thing what's almost everyone has in mind. Okay, see, our goal is not to break the system. Okay, our goal is to test the system. Okay, test the capability. If we break the system, okay, we won't be able to know the thing what is the performance of the system, right? Our main goal is to test the performance, how it would be say working, how it would be say behaving under various load conditions. For example, if there is a user load of 50 users, okay, in an hour we are facing 50 users, and all of a sudden it increases to 500 users, right? Now we would want to check how the system performs when in an hour there are 500 users and in an hour there are 50 users, right? So this is what we need to do, right? Instead of putting on a huge number of users immediately and check how it is performing. So we won't be doing that thing actually. Okay. Now the next thing, that is say performance metrics. Now whenever we are checking in a system, okay, we would be having some metrics. Now what are the metrics? The first thing is the load time. Now suppose we are generating a request. Now let us consider a computer request, okay. So suppose we are generating a request. Now the request is going to some server, right? So suppose this is one computer, this is another computer, okay, and there are some series of requests. So this is the initial request. It asked this computer for something, it sent a response, okay. Then few communication made that I've received the response and then this and this, okay. So now what is load time? So the load time is the total time taken, okay, from the request initiation to the request completion. So this time is called as load time. Now the next thing is connect time. So as it says, the time it took to establish the connection, or you can say that including SSL handshake. Now what does this time mean? So over here, if you notice this time, okay, the one highlighted in yellow, this is the time which is called as, say, connect time. Now why it is called as connect time? So I would be highlighting this part, right? So this is called connect time because the connection is being set up. My computer is sending some request to server, okay, and that server is responding with the response, okay, that yes, I'm here and I would be responding you. So say S and C client, okay. So this is how it works. This is how it behaves, okay. Now we are aware of the latency, load time and connect time. We have other things as well, that is latency. Now what is the latency? Okay, now the latency is the difference between the time. Suppose this is some time, right, and this is some time. Now latency is the time difference, okay. So this is some time difference. The request got generated, it received, and it came back, okay. So the time it took to receive the first response is known as latency. So how much time it took, we would be calculating that. Now it would be returning us that thing. Now the next thing is throughput. So throughput in the layman terms, it tells us that, for example, in an hour how many vehicles pass through a bridge, right? So suppose we get to know that around 50,000 vehicles pass through a bridge, right? So the throughput for that bridge would be 50,000 vehicles per hour. So in the layman terms, you can say that number of requests per unit of time. It can be 1 second, 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day. It can be anything, right? But it is the number of requests per unit of time, okay? So these are the performance metrics. Now we have a learning process. So how we would be learning JMeter and how we would be working with it. So see, there are 3 phases. The first one is the script building. Now it is the most time consuming phase actually. Let me just jot it down. So script building is a time consuming phase, okay. Apart from that, the next phase is load generation. We generate the load, then we get some reports, okay. So once we have received the reports, we would be getting to know that what changes need to be made. For example, hardware changes or software changes. Now if there is any hardware change, we need to contact the server guys. If there is any software change, we need to contact developers, right? Now how do we know that whether there is need of a hardware change or a software change? So there are multiple things. We would be analyzing the system metrics, for example, say processor. Then we would be checking RAM usage. Then we would be checking hard disk usage, or you can say the disk usage, and say we would be checking network usage. Okay. Now why would we be checking? See, if there is any hardware issue, these would be reflecting the issues immediately. Now sometimes what happens is that few of the requests are not say performing well, right? In that case, what we can do, right? And so see, the solution to that is, if we know that all the requests are going through fine but only one request is not going through fine, this means that there is some software issue. Okay. Now whenever there is a software issue, we need to contact the developers that there is some issue in this particular part of request, and it is not working well, right? So this is how we can go through it. Now once these changes are made, we might need to change our script. For example, if there is a software issue which has been resolved, we need to change our script. So we would be going to the script building phase. Now what if there are no hardware changes, there is only a software change? Then in that case we can, there is no software change, there is only hardware change. So we can directly move on to load generation. We need not to go to script building because there is no part of script that has been changed. The only thing that is changed is the say hardware. For example, processor, RAM, hard disk, or solid state drive, right? Or network. So we have made some changes, and then we would be checking them again, that how they're performing, right? How the test is performing, how the system is performing. Now the next thing is the course content. Okay, so what would be the course content and what we would be covering? So see, we would be covering about automated and manual recording. Apart from that, logical controllers, configuration elements, JMeter functions, assertions, preprocessors, post-processors, timers, listeners, threads, bean shell, reporting analysis, then non-GUI execution, plugins manager, file download and upload, connection of say databases. I've mentioned about MySQL only, but we would be covering all the three. That is MySQL, then Microsoft SQL, and Oracle. Okay. Apart from that, we would be learning how we can test web services as well. Now, so we are done with this part. We are done with the basic introduction. Now we have other questions listed as well. So let us just cover them. Now, as I discussed about this, that advantages of learning JMeter. So see, we covered this thing already, but there are other questions as well. That what are these? Say we are done covering course contents. Now why JMeter, right? There are other load testing tools as well. So as we discussed earlier, that JMeter is free to use. It has a good GUI which allows us to perform actions faster. Now the question that would come into mind is, what are the minimum requirements to use JMeter? See, for learning perspective, you can use your own system, but for load generation, you need to use high-end systems, you need to use high-end servers. Okay. Apart from that, the next thing is installation and configuration of JDK. Now the first question is, what is JDK, right? Now to start using JMeter, we need few things. So let us just jot them down. First thing is, we need to install JDK. Okay. Now JDK stands for Java Development Kit. Okay. Now you might be aware of multiple versions of Java. So we would be using only Java 8. Okay. So we won't be using any other version. We would be using Java 8 and the latest version of Java 8. Okay. Why I'm covering this, why I'm telling you, and why I'm training on Java 8, you will be getting to know about this in some time. Now, how do we download it and how do we work with it? So see, over here, you just need to go to one website, or you can just search for this Java JDK download. Okay, the moment you hit enter, it would be taking you to this page where you can find Java SE downloads. Just click on this and it would be giving you this Java SE 11. Okay, but you need Java 8. so you need to download this particular file, that is Java 8, Java SE8 8U201. So this is the latest version. You just click on this JDK download and it would be downloading JDK. Okay, so this is how you can download it. Now once you got to this page, you need to download it according to your operating system. For example, if I'm using Windows 64-bit, then I need to download this last file. If I'm using Windows 32-bit, which is very old, and mostly people use Windows 64-bit, but again, if you have 32-bit version of Windows, you need to use this file. Okay, apart from that, there are other operating systems which are compatible, that is Linux, Macintosh and Solaris. Now you can try installing this on those machines as well. This would be working absolutely fine, right? So once you check this accept license agreement and click on the file name, it would be downloading the file automatically. Okay, now once the file is downloaded, you just need to install this file. It is pretty easy. Just next, yes, and OK in the last, and you're done with the installation, right? Now the next thing, that is Java homepage, right? So this is the website of Java. This is the official website of Java, that is JMeter, and that is jmeter.apache.org. Okay, now as the page says, the official website says the Apache JMeter is an application, open source software, a 100% pure Java application. As I told you, it is based on Java, so that is why we would be using that. Okay, now that is why we are using JDK, right? Now see, this application used to load test the functional behavior and measure performance. Okay, earlier it was made for web applications only, but now it has a wide variety of things that we can test. That is, we can load test web services, we can load test the web pages, that is Node.js, Java, ASP.NET, PHP. We can load test any type of page, then FTP, then database via JDBC. Now JDBC is the enabler which enables us to connect any type of database with the code. Okay, so over here JDBC would be allowing us to test the databases with the help of their Java files. Okay, now apart from that, we have other things as well, that is FTP, LDAP, and say SMTP, POP3, IMAP. So there are so many things we can load test. We won't be able to learn everything, but yes, our goal would be to cover the maximum things that we usually use. Okay, that can be used, because see, whenever we are load testing something, we go with the happy path scenario. Now what is happy path scenario? Happy path scenario is something, okay, so let me just jot it down first. Happy path scenario. Okay, so happy path scenario is the scenario in which the usual what a user does in some specific time. Okay, for example, what we usually do on Facebook, we go there, we see the post, and then we log out, right? Or any other e-commerce website, for example Amazon.com. Okay, our major goal is to look for the item, buy it, and start using it, right? So over here, what we are actually doing, we're going to Amazon.com, we're looking for the product, we're selecting the product, and we are ordering it, right? So this is the happy path scenario that 90% of the users do. Okay, so we would be going with this. Now as you can see that we would be learning these things, and if you move over here and if you move to the downloads tab, okay, so this is the download releases page. If you go there, you can see that it requires Java 8 or 9. Now 9 is deprecated, so that is why we would be using Java 8. Okay, now there are 4 different types of files that you can download, but you need to download this zip file only, because this would be directly compatible with the Microsoft machine. Okay, so you just need to download this file. Okay, once you have downloaded this file, you can extract it. So let us just download this file, and it would be downloaded in a moment. Now as you can see that JMeter is downloaded. So what we need to do is we need to open this and we need to get inside this directory. Now you can see that there are multiple files. So select all the files. Now for extracting this, I'm using WinRAR. Okay, so you might be confused which application I'm using. So the link to this website is this, that is www.rarlab.com. It is a free to use application, you can use it as well. Now if you want to use any other application, you can use that as well. Okay, our main motive is to extract the contents. Okay, the contents are same everywhere. Okay, now once we copy these files, I've hit Control C, or I can right click from here, we can copy them. Okay, copy files to clipboard. Now the next thing is you need to get inside a directory, and suppose we are getting inside this directory, A drive. Okay, now I would be creating a new directory, say, okay, it is taking a bit time, and say we would be creating a new directory named as, say, JMeter 5. Okay, and then we can extract the contents over there. But before running JMeter, we need to do one thing. So what we need to do is, once Java is installed, so Java would be installed over here in this directory. Okay, say program files and then Java. Okay, so this is the directory. Now as we have installed JDK, okay, it has taken me to this part. So let us specify the name as JMeter 5. Okay, now let us get back to that directory. So over here Java, now you can see that there are two directories, JDK and JRE. Now which directory you need to use, right? So over here you need to use this JDK. Now get inside this directory and then get inside this bin button directory, copy this whole path. Now you need to open start menu and search for environment variables. Now there are two options that would be coming up, that is edit the system environment variables and edit the environment variables for your account. And you need to choose this option, that is edit the system environment variables. Be sure for this thing it might be showing the second option in the first case, but you need to use this edit the system environment variables only. The moment you click on it, it would be taking you to this page on the system properties. You need to click on environment variables. Okay, now there are two different types of environment variables. The first one is for user variables for Abhishek, and the next one is for system variables. Okay, now what we would be doing is we would be adding few things. So first thing we would be doing is we would be clicking on new. Here we would be providing few things. I've already done this thing, so I would be showing you this part. Now over here the variable name would be Java_home, everything in capitals, then the variable value. Now the variable value is this, that is the path that we have copied. You just need to remove one thing, that is /bin. Okay, and click OK. Once you've done doing this, you need to do one more thing, that is scroll down a bit. You need to look for this path variable, double click it. If you're using Windows 10, it would be showing it to you like this. If you're using the older version of Windows, it might be shown to you like this. Okay, so it doesn't matter how it is shown. Okay, so all you need to do is you need to edit the path. Now the way I've added the path over here, you need to do that. So that is paste the path directly and click OK. Okay, if you're getting to see this kind of option, then what you need to do is after the semicolon, paste the path and then hit semicolon again and click OK. This would be considering the path as well. Okay, now once you're done doing these things, you may need to restart your system. Okay, now just to cross check whether Java is installed successfully or not, open command prompt. So the way I'm opening it, I've used a shortcut, that is Windows X and then C. You can use this shortcut as well. Now over here I would be cross checking the Java. So Java -v is the command. I'll hit enter and okay, so it is not showing me. You just hit on Java. Okay, if it is executing something, this means that you're successfully installed Java and it is working properly. Okay, now see over here, these are the things that it supports. Now if you're not getting the correct say if you want to know whether the Java is installed or not, and you get to know that the Java is not installed, for example I'm running some wrong command, Okay, so it would be giving us the prompt like this: Java is not recognized as an internal or external command, okay, or operable program or batch file. So this would be the error you would be getting. If it is installed successfully, these are the things that you would be getting. Okay, once Java is installed, okay, you can start with JMeter. So that is pretty easy now. So we would be starting JMeter now. So how do we start JMeter? So this is the directory where we are going to extract the contents of JMeter. So let us just extract them. Go to this file, okay, select all the files, unselect the last directory, and then paste them over here. It would be taking a bit time for this process to be done, but once it is done, you would be able to see all the files listed over here. Okay, so sometimes it takes 2 to 3 minutes, sometimes it takes higher time as well. It depends on your machine how well it is performing. Okay, now as you can see that it is still extracting the contents, so it would be taking a bit time, so let us wait for some time. Now you can see that the contents are being copied, and in a moment we would be ready with that. Okay, so the contents are copied. Now this is the directory where JMeter is stored. Now to start JMeter, what we need to do, right? So this is the executable jar file. All you need to do is you need to run this jar file, Apache JMeter.jar. Okay, and it would be opening the user interface for JMeter. As you can see that JMeter is started, and it has started. Okay, and we would be maximizing the window. Now you can see that there are many things listed on this page, right? So we would be dividing JMeter into two parts. Let us discuss that. Now this would be totally about the graphical user interface. So what are the two parts? So the first part is this, that is project pane. Okay, whatever the project contents are there, these would be shown over here. This is the element properties pane. Okay, whatever element you have highlighted over here in the project pane, okay, it would be showing the properties related to that only over here. Now there are two things, there are two attributes, these are common everywhere in JMeter, that is name and comments. Okay, if there is an element, we would be having its name and comments. Okay, now apart from that, this portion, okay, after the name and comments, this would be varying according to the user. Okay, sorry, varying according to the element. Whatever element you have selected, it would be showing this content according to that. Apart from that, you can see that there are few other things as well. That is, there is some bar which is showing us some buttons. Now let us discuss these buttons, what these buttons are. The first one is the new file button. Okay, the next one is this, that is, if I show you over here, this is the new file, and this is a template. Okay, so you might be having templates, you can open them. The third one is the open button, it would be opening the files. Then save button, cut, copy, paste, then expand all and say collapse all. Now what is this expand all and collapse all? So when we would be having some elements listed over here, they might be shown as in the form of a tree. Now we can expand the tree, and we can say close a tree, collapse a tree according to our need. Okay, we would be choosing these options. It would be expanding everything, it would, and the next one would be say collapsing everything. Apart from that, this is the button, that is toggle. Now what does toggle mean? Toggle is the button to enable or disable something on the page. Okay, that is on this project pane. If there is an element you would want to disable it, you can just click on this toggle, and it would be disabling this particular element. Now this particular element and its sub elements won't be considered for the test execution. Okay, so this is how it works, this is how you specify that, right? Now apart from that, there are other buttons, that is start and start, no pauses, then stop, shut down, clear, clear all. So these are the buttons that we would be discussing now. So start means it should start the test. No pauses means there should be no pauses while starting the test. Then stop the test immediately. Shut down means if there is something being executed, it would be allowing that to be executed, and then it would be closing everything. Now the clear and clear all. So whenever we work with JMeter, we gather some logs as well. So these Button clear and clear all allow us to remove the data that we don't need. Okay. Now the next thing is search. If you want to search for some element, you can use that. Apart from that, then we have the reset search option as well. Then function helper dialog, and then help. Now what is function helper dialog? We would be covering this in the coming lectures when we would be discussing with about JMeter functions. Okay. Now this is about the basic introduction. Now what is the type of file? Okay, what is the extension of file that JMeter creates? So it is .jmx. Okay, so whenever you find a JMX file, this means that this is a JMeter file, right? Now this was about the basic introduction, and in the next part we would be discussing more about the recording. Okay, how we can record the scenario and how we can work with it. Thank you.